While I was exploring AI the other day, I stumbled across something I find super interesting, and it's this. I created a prompt where all I said was, create an image of a tree. And this is what it gave me. And then I said, create an image of a dog. And this is what it gave me. And then I asked it to create a picture of a house. And this is what it gave me. And then the most interesting one. All I said was, based on all of our conversations, create a picture of what it's like speaking to me. And this is what it gave me. So here's why I find this to be really interesting. AI doesn't know my race. It defaulted to white male. It knew that I was male. It defaulted to Caucasian. So I tried this 3 more times with the tree, 3 more times with the dog, and 3 more times with the house. And the images were always the same. For the tree, I got some kind of leafy tree alone in a meadow with a blue sky. Sometimes it was closer to the woods in the back, sometimes there was no woods in the back. But it was always this image. For the dog, it bounced between golden lab and golden retriever. Always outside, always a nice day, always on grass. Always the same type of image. And for the house, it was always a North American stylized, large lot of land, green grass, wood siding, chimney. It was always a similar style of house. And it got me to questioning why that is. And what I learned was, when you give it a vague prompt, it fills the information gap, all of the nuances that you don't describe, with commonalities that it gets from its training material and the internet. And this is where it gets interesting, and this is where it becomes important for anybody using this for any real world legal advice, business advice, anything like that. This is where it gets important, because what it does is it pulls from all of the information and it takes the stuff that is most popular, not necessarily the most accurate. So for example, when I said create an image of a house, it didn't create an image of a house that you would normally find in, say, India or Kenya or Iceland for that matter. It always gave me this Western-esque, probably American house. When I asked for the tree, it didn't default to palm tree. It always defaulted to this. Some kind of maple tree is what it looks like to me. It could be an oak tree, it's hard to say. But it always defaulted to this. And it could have had any number of trees. A pine tree would have sufficed. Any other tree. And it was always alive. It was always leafy. Not winter time when it was just no leaves. And it was always a blue sky. So I decided to ask it, how are you choosing this? Are you leaning towards optimism? And this is what it came back with. Probability, not positivity. The model doesn't inherently aim for good or bad, positive or negative. Instead, it calculates what word, sentence, image, element, or idea is most likely to come next, given the training it received, a massive sample of books, websites, conversations, and images, the prompt that I gave it, and any ongoing context in the chat. Now, because I didn't give it any other context in the chat, I started a new chat for each image. It had nothing else to go on, so it kept drawing from the exact same information. So, as it says, as an example, if you give, or if you ask for what does success look like, it might return an upbeat image or a paragraph, but that's because that pattern is statistically common, not because it's trying to be optimistic. When I asked it about race, and I had a long conversation with it, this is the part that concerned me a little more. It said, it's not that the model decides your race, it just builds on an image from probability weighted gaps. And unfortunately, those gaps often reflect biases baked into online media and image databases. That's why diverse representation in both training data and prompt design is such a critical conversation to AI. And then, of course, it compliments me as it always does. I know everybody gets that experience. But I think this expands more than just models for creating images, although images are for sure it. So as it says here, default biases based on training data. Most image generation models are trained on data sets that overrepresent certain groups, often white Western males. If you don't specify race, gender, or other identifiers, this model often defaults to what's been most common in its training data. And that's a problem. That's a problem for so many reasons. But it goes well beyond this, because a lot of folks out there are using a ChatGPT style AI for things like healthcare advice, financial advice, legal advice, mental health help. And if AI is just pulling randomly from whatever is most common, whatever's trending on the internet, there is no guarantee that the advice or the information that it gives you is accurate. It could just be what's popular out there, and the internet is full of, especially in those subjects being mental health, healthcare, legal, and financial advice. You can be given some devastatingly bad advice. There's stories out there of people quitting their jobs because of the advice that ChatGPT gave it. I know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners right now that are using ChatGPT in order to make good business decisions, or are using it to provide information to their clients. So it becomes incredibly important that you give as much detail and as much nuance as you possibly can in your prompts, because I may not have been Caucasian. The fact that it actually did a decent job of me is more coincidence than anything else. And the outputs that these GPTs give are less about, especially without nuance or context in your prompt, they become less about the conversation at hand, and it's more of a mirror reflecting of who we are holistically as per the internet, which I think most of us can agree humanity doesn't really put its best foot forward online. So I thought this was an important conversation to have. I think if we are going to be handing over as much knowledge, power, and as we seem to be to AI, I think it's really important to understand where it's getting that knowledge from. And maybe we want to start doing something about that. I'm sure in the new versions, when they roll out, they may improve upon this, because it looks like it knows that it's a problem. But until then, this is just something to be very mindful of. Anyways, I'm Sean. I like to chat about AI stuff now for some reason. Like and follow for more if this is what you're interested in. Thanks.